All right, everyone, get ready because today we are going deep, deep into the world of, well, your liver. This is an organ that, honestly, most of us probably only think about after maybe one too many drinks, right? But turns out it's like way more important than a lot of us realize. So we're diving into this awesome lecture from Barbara O'Neill. She spoke at this place called Living Springs Retreat. And the way she describes the liver, it's like, get this, the project manager of your body.
Yeah, it's funny, the project manager. And once you get into what she actually lays out about what your liver does, you totally get that analogy.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. What O'Neill does so well is she breaks this down in a way that's really easy to grasp, you know? It's like your liver is constantly filtering out toxins, processing all the food we eat and the drinks we have, and on top of that, it's making sure that everything else in your body is, running smoothly.
Oh, totally. I mean, think about it. All the stuff we put our bodies through, right? And the liver's just there, like handling it. Oh, and get this. The liver can actually regenerate itself. Like what? That's some like biological superpower right there.
It really is remarkable, that ability to regenerate. It's actually why even if you drink alcohol, like in moderation, that doesn't necessarily mean you're like dooming your liver.
Okay, that makes me feel a tiny bit better about those weekend cocktails.
Right, but the catch is all those other toxins, the ones we're exposed to every day in the environment, in our food, all that stuff, that adds up over time.
So it's like we got to give our liver a break wherever we can.
Exactly.
And speaking of giving our liver a break, O'Neill really dives into how much our diet impacts it. Specifically, she talks about carbohydrates. Like she uses this example of what a lot of people in America eat for breakfast. Pancakes, cereal, orange juice, the classics. And well, let's just say it's not exactly doing our livers any favors.
Right. It's a massive glucose overload first thing in the morning.
And what happens with all that glucose?
So your body, it wants to use glucose for energy, right? It's like the go-to fuel source. But when there's too much of it, like after one of those breakfasts O'Neill talks about, your liver has to figure out what to do with the extra. Some of it gets stored away as glycogen, in your muscles and liver for later use. But, and this is the part we don't love, a lot of it gets converted into fat.
Okay, so that's the carbs make you gain weight connection.
Pretty much.
But then there are all these low-carb diets out there, right? Like the Atkins diet, O'Neill mentions that, how it kind of flipped the script on everything people thought about carbs.
Totally. Atkins was like revolutionary back in the day because it directly addressed that whole excess glucose issue. By cutting out most carbs, it forces your body to switch gears to start using stored fat for energy.
Interesting.
That process is called gluconeogenesis, in case you're curious.
Gluconeogenesis.
Yeah, basically your body's like, okay, no carbs, no problem. We'll just make our own glucose from this fat we've got stored up.
That's wild. And O'Neill talks about how some people on the Atkins diet saw some like crazy results. Not just weight loss, but even things like, get this, cancer remission and diabetes management.
Yeah, there have been some pretty remarkable cases reported. It really goes to show how interconnected everything is, Our diet, our metabolism, our overall health. But, and this is important, anyone thinking about making big dietary changes should definitely talk to their doctor first.
For sure. Always good to get the all clear from a professional.
Oh.
So we might want to rethink that second croissant in the morning.
Huh. Maybe just one will do.
Yeah, maybe. But O'Neill's not saying to like banish all carbs forever, right? She also talks about how fiber, protein, even fat are actually really important for a healthy liver.
Absolutely. It's about having a balance. And each of those plays a crucial role. Like fiber, it's kind of the unsung hero of digestion, honestly. It slows down how fast your body absorbs glucose, which helps prevent those energy spikes we were talking about earlier.
Oh, that makes sense.
And protein, well, that's essential for cell repair, right? And when you think about it, your liver is working constantly. It needs that constant repair and maintenance.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like giving your liver the building blocks to stay in top shape.
Exactly.
And then there's fat, right? Which, like, for the longest time, everyone was saying to avoid it like the plague. But O'Neill's saying it's actually super important, especially for our hormones and for helping our bodies use all those good nutrients.
Yeah, fat is definitely not the enemy. It's all about choosing the right kinds of fat, the healthy ones.
Right, of course.
And O'Neill, she makes this really interesting point about what she calls the Garden of Eden diet.
Sure.
Basically, she's saying that back in the day, like way back, humans naturally ate a diet that was higher in fiber, protein, and you guessed it, healthy fats.
Interesting. So kind of like what we were just talking about, but like the original version.
Exactly. She even breaks down the nutritional content of like ancient grains and legumes, nuts and seeds, all that stuff that our ancestors used to eat all the time.
It's amazing how much our diets have changed. Right. Like going from that to, whatever processed stuff we're eating now. Okay, speaking of things we might want to cut back on, let's talk about cholesterol.
Yeah.
Like everyone's always stressing about their cholesterol levels. Is it really that bad?
Well, O'Neill actually does a really good job of clearing up some of the confusion around cholesterol because, and this is something a lot of people don't realize, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol.
Oh, right. I've heard of that, but I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
So the good kind, HDL, that's like your body's cleanup crew for cholesterol. It goes around, picks up the excess cholesterol in your bloodstream, and helps get rid of it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then there's the bad cholesterol, LDL, which honestly gets a bad rap.
And it sounds like you're saying it's not all bad.
Not necessarily, no. LDL is actually really important for things like cell repair and even, get this, brain function.
Oh, really? See, this is what I mean. Cholesterol is so confusing.
It really is.
But, okay, I got to ask. O'Neill mentioned this study about how having higher cholesterol later in life might actually be linked to a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. Like, what's the deal with that?
I know, right? Sounds kind of crazy. It's definitely one of those things where more research is needed. But yeah, there are some studies that suggest there might be a connection there.
So not a free pass to eat all the bacon and eggs just yet.
Probably not the best idea. I think the big takeaway here is that our bodies are incredibly complex. And just when we think we've got it all figured out, something like this pops up.
Totally.
And it just goes to show you can't just rely on like one study or one piece of information. It's about looking at the big picture.
Yeah, I'm all about the big picture.
And O'Neill, she even talks about how those cholesterol-lowering medications, they can sometimes have downsides. So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation,
Definitely not.
Talking to your doctor, figuring out what's right for you, that's key.
100%. Okay, so our livers are handling all this cholesterol stuff, the good and the bad. But it's not just cholesterol, right? O'Neill talks about this whole other process, this 3-phase detoxification thing that's happening in our livers all the time.
Yeah, the liver is basically like a 247 detoxifying machine. It never stops.
Okay, so walk us through it. How does this 3-phase detox actually work?
Right, so phase 1, that's where it all starts. Your liver is basically breaking down all these fat-soluble toxins, the things that your body can't process easily, and it breaks them down into these things called metabolites.
Metabolites.
Yeah, basically byproducts of the breakdown process.
Okay, got it.
But here's the thing, those metabolites, they're actually even more toxic than the original stuff the liver was trying to break down.
Wait, what? So it gets worse before it gets better?
That's kind of a good way to put it, yeah. It's like, imagine you're cleaning out a really messy closet, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
You got to pull everything out, make a big mess, before you can actually start organizing and putting things back in order.
Makes sense. So the liver's got this pile of even more toxic stuff, the metabolites. What happens next?
That's where phase 2 kicks in. Your liver uses these things called amino acids, which are basically the building blocks of protein. And it uses them to convert those toxic metabolites into a form that's easier for your body to get rid of.
Oh, so it's like transforming the hazardous waste into something less harmful.
You got it. And that's why getting enough protein is so important, especially when you're doing a detox.
So your liver has all the materials it needs to, neutralize the bad stuff.
Exactly. And O'Neill, she also talks about how antioxidants are super important during this phase 2. They're like little bodyguards protecting your cells from damage.
Right. Antioxidants, those are like the good guys in fruits and vegetables and stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. And the detox program that O'Neill talks about at Living Springs, they incorporate a ton of those antioxidant-rich foods. They also use specific herbs that are known to support liver function, like dandelion and ginger.
Oh, yeah, ginger. I actually had the best ginger shot this morning.
See, you're already ahead of the game.
Haha, right. Okay, so we've got the toxins broken down, the dangerous byproducts neutralized. What's the final step? What happens in phase 3?
Phase 3 is all about getting rid of the trash. So at this point, the toxins are in a water-soluble form, which means they can be easily flushed out of your body.
Okay, makes sense.
So your liver releases them into your bloodstream, and then they're eliminated through things like sweat, urine, and, bowel movements.
So it's like giving your insides a good cleanse.
Pretty much.
I'm never going to look at sweat the same way again. It's kind of wild to think about all that happening inside us without us even realizing it.
Right. Our bodies are doing so much work behind the scenes.
For real.
And O'Neill makes this point about how important it is to support those elimination pathways, the ones that actually get rid of the toxins.
Right. Like, what can we do to make sure things are, moving along smoothly?
It's actually pretty straightforward. Staying hydrated, that's a big one, obviously, helps flush everything out. And then making sure you're getting enough fiber so you're having regular bowel movements.
Oh, so those are both pretty manageable.
Exactly. O'Neill also mentions things like using saunas can be really helpful.
Oh, yeah, saunas. I love those.
They're great for promoting sweating, which, as we just learned, is a key part of that whole detoxification process.
It's like our liver's giving us a thumbs up when we hit the sauna.
Basically.
I am learning so much today about this incredible organ.
Me too. It's pretty amazing.
Like, I almost feel like I need to send my liver a thank you note after this.
Right. It definitely deserves more appreciation than it gets.
Seriously. But it's so easy to take our health for granted, you know?
Totally.
So just to recap, O'Neill's big point is that the liver is like our very own personal project manager.
And like any good project manager, it needs the right tools and resources to do its job effectively.
Which brings us back to, like what we were saying before about diet and lifestyle and all that.
Exactly.
So if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, I need to show my liver some love, what are some key takeaways, some things they can start doing today?
Well, first and foremost, it goes back to what we were talking about with the Garden of Eden diet. Eating lots of whole, unprocessed foods, that's key. Lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, plenty of fiber, lean protein, healthy fats. Think like legumes, nuts, seeds, avocados, olive oil, fatty fish. Those are all giving your liver what it needs to function at its best.
And what about those toxins we were talking about? Any tips for like minimizing those in our daily lives?
Yeah, and the good news is you don't have to like overhaul your entire life overnight. Even small changes can make a difference.
Okay, good to know.
Like choosing organic produce whenever you can, that helps reduce your exposure to pesticides.
Makes sense.
Filtering your water, another easy one.
Right, get those impurities out.
And then being mindful of the products you're using on your skin and in your home. A lot of those conventional products are full of chemicals that your liver then has to process. So opting for natural alternatives whenever possible, that can make a big difference.
It's amazing how much we've learned today. I feel like we could talk about the liver for like hours.
Right. It's such a fascinating organ.
It is. But I think the big takeaway here is if you're feeling a little sluggish or you just want to give your overall health a boost, don't forget about your liver.
Yeah.
Give it the good stuff. Cut back on the toxins. Maybe treat yourself to a sauna session. Your liver will thank you.
100% agree. Taking care of your liver is one of the best things you can do for your overall health and well-being.
Couldn't have said it better myself.